Californians know all about drought. There have been 9 severe ones in the last century, but right now it's in the grip of a 3-year-old drought that's causing widespread damage and raising new questions about how water's used in the most populous state in the US. Behind me here is Silicon Valley, home of Facebook, Google, Apple and some of the best-known names in the tech industry. But less than a quarter of a mile away from where I'm standing right now, Mexican drug cartels have been growing marijuana illegally in ways that are causing enormous problems for the region's waterways.
This is a marijuana grow site on public lands in the Silicon Valley foothills that myself and Warden Quintal, along with the Sheriff's Office and our Department of Fish and Wildlife marijuana enforcement team, did an eradication arrest mission on about a month and a half ago. Marijuana cultivation right now is the #1 environmental crime in California. It's also the biggest drought-related crime we're facing right now. This creek has been unusually dry for at least a year, if not longer. All of the water in the creek was stolen and used to irrigate marijuana. And then the water that was taken from the creek was polluted with toxic fertilizers, like these bags behind us that are in the trash pile. And all of that just equates to wildlife that drink that water, getting poisoned, dying later on, drinking water sources eventually that this creek leads to down into the Silicon Valley being contaminated potentially as well.
The amount of water stolen by heavily armed drug cartels is a serious problem at a time when many of California's main reservoirs are barely a third full. But it's just a fraction of the water that's long been used legally in a way that a lot of experts say needs to be changed. California produces just over half the US's fruit and nuts, and much of it's grown in the Central Valley, a flat strip of land running some 450 miles down through the heart of the state. A lot of the land here used to be covered with crops such as tomatoes or peppers, and could be left fallow in dry years. But many properties now grow more valuable fruit or nut trees that need water every year, and that creates big problems for farmers like Drought. His citrus farm has 2 big water canals running through it. They're part of California's gigantic network of aqueducts and canals that underpins its economy. But this year, the drought has meant authorities have sharply limited how much water farmers can take from those waterways, and Mr. Bizabri has had to rip out 85 acres of healthy trees.
We had to make a decision at the beginning of the season based on the number of acres we have here and the amount of water that was available or was going to be available to us during the year, and make a calculated decision. The one thing about the citrus, and in particular Satsuma mandarins, you have to give them their full allocation of water so that they can have the right size, because if your size is not the right sizes, the packers will not pack the fruit and it will all go into the juice, which will not make any money for us. We took about 85 acres of good, well-producing citrus out of production.
This is the same machine that came to Drought Bizabri's farm to grind up his trees. Today it's doing the same next to an orchard of withered almond trees. Mr. Bizabri says he had to spend nearly $1.2 million on water this year, 10 times what he spent last year. And that doesn't count $250,000 he spent trying to drill new wells for groundwater. Groundwater's another big problem in California that's been laid bare in this drought. Water levels in the underground aquifers that people rely on in dry spells are plummeting as the drought deepens, and in some towns, people have lost water in their homes because their wells have gone totally dry during the drought.
Went to take a shower, no water. It was like horrible. Because when you first start, you don't know where to go, what to do, or what happened. So we've been without water for like 5 months. This is the 6th month right now.
Scientists say groundwater levels in some parts of California have dropped by as much as 100 feet a year as the drought has intensified. But the good news is that this drought, like many others before it, has prompted some important reforms. California will finally stop being one of the few dry western states without comprehensive groundwater legislation. Local agencies will soon have to measure groundwater and come up with a plan for making sure it's sustainably managed. If they don't do that, the state will be able to step in. This won't be enough to help people already struggling in this drought, nor maybe the next one. But it's a big shift and it could make a difference in years to come. Pilita Clark, Financial Times, California.